Hey guys, it's Dan with Philosophical Fishing. I hope you all are doing well today. I hope that your healing journey is going okay. And I wanted to come on to talk about reconnecting with parts of your spirit that maybe got lost or blunted or thwarted during the benzodiazepine haze that you were in. Because I know for me, when I was in that fog and I was in, you know, my throes of benzodiazepine use and abuse, I lost a lot of different parts of myself, and I suffered emotionally, spiritually, and physically because of those things. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit about how important it is, either now that you're either tapering off of benzos or you have come off of benzos, and you're in this place now where you're learning to live life all over again. And that's the way it felt for me. I felt like I was a brand new baby trying to do this all over again. And I was like learning everything from the ground up. It was like being completely reborn. And I felt like I really was learning how to do even simple things all over again. I encourage you to think about, what are those things that maybe you love to do that you lost or that you missed out on when you were in your benzo fog? And what are some of those things that you can do to reconnect with those parts of you that are still there? They're just they've been blocked for a long time. And so, for example, for me is music. I love music. I love playing music. I started my first band when I was 14 years old, and I had bands all through high school, throughout my early 20s. And then I kind of went back to college when I was in my mid 20s, and I kind of put it on hold for a while. And then in my later 20s, I got a band again, and got to play shows and record albums and do all that fun stuff. I'll tell you, when I first picked up the guitar after coming off of benzos, it was a really strange feeling to have the guitar in my hands, and the sound was like almost too much for me. I was very sensitive to anything auditory, and picking up a guitar, the strings on my fingers felt really strange, and the sound was almost like too much for my nervous system. Like I couldn't really handle it. And I did very, very little guitar playing early on, and it slowly started to kind of come back. And I'll tell you guys, for me, I'm kind of slow. I with the anxiety of even thinking about going back up on stage and playing in front of people, it was just like, no way. I cannot do that. I can't even think about it right now. I just have to give my body and my brain time to heal before I can even think about doing something like that. And so for me, it was 6 years before I was able to play guitar in front of somebody and with somebody. All it was a friend of mine in a hotel room in South Carolina, and we both brought our guitars and we played for hours and hours one night, and it was like beautiful. It like recharged my spirit and made me want to play music again, and realize, okay, like here's another thing that I thought that I couldn't do because my nervous system was so jacked up, and it took 6 years, but it showed me, okay, like I can do this. It's just about pushing our boundaries a little bit at a time, as much as we can. Don't bite off huge chunks all at once. You know, you don't have to think that whatever it is that I love that has been put on the shelf for so many days, weeks, months, or even years in my case, that all of a sudden I need to like go out and do that thing. Like, if I'm a downhill skier, I don't need to go try to put on my boots and skis and like go try to go down a huge ski jump like my first week off of benzos. It's not like that. And that's why I give you this example of how it took me 6 years to get to the point that I could even think about picking the guitar up and playing in front of somebody, but then realizing like, oh shit, I can do this. We're powerful people, and we go through this horrendous experience of benzo withdrawal, and it's so tough on us, and it just messes us up so bad and gives us such PTSD that we start to think like, I'm just a weak person and I can't do anything anymore. And I was, such a strong person when I was on benzos, or I was able to do what I wanted. And now that I'm off of benzos, it's going to limit me and I'm going to have this lack in my life because now I can't function the way I used to. And for a while, that might be true. That might be true that you are severely limited while you're healing and while you're going through the early stages of benzo withdrawal and the first few weeks, months, days, or years, even in my case. You might be limited on what you can do. And find contentment with the little things that you can do. Don't feel like you have to do it all at once. Like I always say, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. But you are powerful people. You all have this power inside of you to do what you love and to reconnect with it and to find new things that you love. And doing those things are going to help you heal. It's going to help you reacclimate to life. And it's going to help the dopamine receptors in your brain start firing again and the serotonin start firing again. So I'm not bringing all this up just to say that it'd be a great thing for you to do, which it is. But on another level too, it's actually going to help your brain heal. Doing things that you enjoy are going to help those healthy chemicals in your brain to start firing again. And when your brain starts firing and rewiring as you come off of benzos, or if you're off of benzos, it's just going to facilitate and help your whole healing process, I promise you. Another thing that I love is nature, the outdoors, hiking, fishing, anything that gets me outside in the sunshine, in the woods, around water. I love it. And so I tried to do a lot of that actually when I first came off of benzos because that was something that I could do. It wasn't something technical where I was picking up the guitar and had to figure out, where to put my fingers again. It was just getting out into nature and walking for a quarter mile and then maybe a half mile. And then maybe I could work up to walking a mile because in the beginning for me, my nervous system was so shot that I had such nerve pain that would go through my back and especially my lower back that even going for a walk was really strenuous on my body. So I had to work up to it and it took time. But again, it was something that I enjoyed. It was something that I loved. And it was something that I found that I could do. And it didn't cost any money to put on a pair of shoes and go outside and just go for a walk in the sunshine. And that is still hugely therapeutic for me today. I love the sunshine. I love warm weather. I love being out in nature. There's something healing about it for me. There's something that soothes me. I just love it. Another thing that I did, and this was actually a few years after coming off of benzos, was I got a bicycle and I got a pair of earbuds and I would just take my phone with me and I had like a little like a zipper Velcro thing on my bike and I would throw my cell phone in that. I would put some music on or a podcast and I would put my earbuds in. And where I lived in Florida, I had trails that went for miles and miles all through these neighborhoods and nature areas. And I would just get on my bike and put my earbuds in and I would go for miles and miles. And sometimes I would go for, an hour, hour and a half. And there's something hugely, awesomely therapeutic about that for me too. And I would come up with a lot of great ideas and I would feel inspired. And it was just a really awesome way, again, to do something great for my body, to do something great for my mind, and to do something wonderful for my spirit. I love being on the water. I love being in my kayak. I love being on my canoe and going out and being on the water and fishing all day is awesome. And for those of you who don't fish or whatever, that's fine. I totally get it. But it's not about necessarily catching a fish. What it is for me is the same thing that I get when I ride my bike out in nature or I go for a walk out in nature. It's being able to not only disconnect from all the constant noise, electronic chatter, and busyness of the world, but it's also allowing me to reconnect to the spirit of nature and the soul of nature. And again, that's another thing that is very, very healing and therapeutic for me. And I just love being out on a boat all day. I can sit in a tiny canoe for 10 hours and be completely content and happy doing that. And it's not about an escape from everything. It's about connecting with the natural world and the natural cycles, and allowing nature to work its magic and do its thing, and being in a state of peace and surrender that really brings me back to a place of centeredness and wholeness. I don't know about you guys, but from what I've seen and from the people that I've talked to, there seems to be a lot of us in the benzo community who feel similar about being in nature and being outside. I think a lot of people do in general, but especially for us. Because being on benzos, a lot of us, and I'll speak for myself, I was looking for that peace. I was looking for that solace. I was looking for that comfort. And I found that in benzos, and it gave me an artificial and temporary relief from the busyness and anxiety in my soul that I had. And then, of course, being on benzos for a long time, it robbed me of the joy of being in nature because I couldn't see beauty anymore. I couldn't see the natural goodness of the world. It kind of made me blind to the inherent beauty around me. Towards the end of my benzo use, you could have plopped me down in the most beautiful forest in the world next to waterfalls and fish jumping and deer frolicking, and I would have still been completely miserable. I just could not absorb it. I couldn't take it in. I couldn't see it. I was blind to it. But pretty shortly for me, after coming off of benzos and having gone through the spiritual awakening that happened for me very abruptly coming off of benzos in the psych ward. If you want to go back and look at my psychosis video, I talk about that a little bit. Pretty shortly after that, my ability to recognize just the awe-inspiring beauty of nature came back very strongly for me. And I would have moments in my first few months off of benzos where I would look out at a forest or a pasture and it would just about take my breath away. And I would just go, oh my God. And it was like it came all rushing back to me at once. It was an amazing experience and part of my spiritual awakening. And if I'm still enough today and quiet enough and I meditated enough, I can still feel that and I can still experience that. And it comes and goes, but it's very real. And it's something that I encourage you to do, because if you have any ability at all or any nature around you, I mean, even if you live in New York City, you have Central Park or wherever you're at in the world, you can probably find a little bit of green space or a little bit of woods somewhere to go take a walk, or a pond that has a trail that you can walk around, and just be mindful of every step you take as you're walking, the way your feet feel on the ground, the way the air feels against your skin, the way the sun feels on you, the way maybe the cold air feels on you, or if it's snowing where you're at, how does the snow look? How does the snow feel? And put your attention solely on those things around you and the things that are in your present field of vision, and see if it doesn't slow you down, and see if it doesn't slow your mind down and allow you to become more present. Because as you become more and more present, you allow yourself to heal on deeper and deeper levels. That's why another thing that I've touched on in other videos, and I'm going to talk about now a little bit, is the importance of meditation. When I started meditating when I came off of benzos, I just had a very simple practice that I still use to this day. And it's something that I learned from Eckhart Tolle, who wrote the book The Power of Now, which I've talked about before also, which has been hugely beneficial in my life. But all I do is when I wake up, before I turn on my phone, before I check emails or social media or read the news or anything else, I get quiet and I find a quiet corner of the house and I just close my eyes and I start breathing and I start counting and watching my breaths. And then I just listen to silence. And usually I'm up early enough at about 5 a.m. where there's not very much traffic and nobody in the house is up yet. And it is quiet. And the more I attune my attention to the silence, the more present I become, the more my brain waves slow down. And again, just like being in nature, or just like finding and reconnecting with those things that maybe you lost during the benzo fog, it starts to heal the body and it starts to heal the brain. And it allows you, especially in early benzo withdrawal, which I know for me, my anxiety was so sky high, it simmers down that anxiety level quite a bit. And so meditation, however you find to practice it, just having some kind of practice is so beneficial. There's also an app that I use called Insight Timer that I find to be pretty cool. And there's a lot of meditations on there for free, and you can go through them. They have guided meditations, speakers, all kinds of different things that might help you to get uh, some sort of meditation practice into your life and incorporate a meditation practice on a daily basis. Then that's the thing about it, is when you start meditating, you're going to find that your mind won't shut up, and your thoughts just come at you one after another after another. And that's normal. That's what the brain does. That's what our mind does. And it's just recognizing that your brain does that and then bringing your attention back to the present moment over and over again. And that's the practice. And it's all about consistency with meditation. If you meditate one day out of the week, it's probably not going to do much for you. But if you find that you can try to do it at least once a day, you might see that you start to react a lot slower instead of just flying off the cuff when something triggers you, or you have more peace as you go throughout your day, or you feel less anxiety. And all these things are so important. I think the main thing that I want to convey in this video to you guys is just about finding something that you enjoy, either something that you used to do that you haven't done in a long time, or trying something new, whatever that could be. That could be absolutely anything. That could be writing. That could be taking a pottery class. That could be getting a pet. I don't know. Finding something that you truly, truly enjoy and making time to do that. Honoring yourself and loving yourself enough to carve out time as much as you can each day or each week or each month to do that thing that you love, and just give it some attention. And I think you'll find, as you do these things, if you haven't given yourself that compassion and that love, that you'll start to see incremental changes over the days, weeks, and months, that you'll actually start to feel better. You'll have things that you look forward to, and then you might start to expand your boundaries a little bit more each month as you're going through this process of benzo withdrawal and benzo healing. So I just want to encourage you guys to do that. Find something you love. Just find something this weekend that you love and go do it. I don't care if it's playing piano, connecting with a friend you haven't talked to in a while, or maybe it is skiing down a huge hill. I have no idea. But maybe just drop a comment below. Let me know what you're doing and what have you found that you love, or what is something that you haven't done in a while that you want to reconnect with, that you think would nourish your spirit. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to play some guitar. I'm going to make time this weekend to play some music. I'm going to sing. I'm going to play my piano, and I'm going to play with my kids. That's my plan. And so I love you guys, and thank you for subscribing. Thank you guys for all your comments. And like I always say, as long as these videos are helpful to somebody, I'm going to keep making them. So I love you guys.